Silence is often misunderstood. People think silence means weakness. They think silence means insecurity. They think silence means someone has nothing to say. But the truth is, silence is often a sign of intelligence. Smart people don't speak less because they don't know. They speak less because they understand more. They see things others don't see. They notice patterns others miss. They hear what isn't being said. And most importantly, they understand the power of silence. Because silence protects energy. Every conversation costs something. Every argument drains something. Every explanation spends something. And smart people are very careful about where they spend their mental energy. They don't waste it trying to prove themselves to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. They don't waste it arguing with people who don't listen. They don't waste it explaining things to people who only want to respond, not understand. Because they know something most people don't. Not every reaction deserves a response. Not every opinion deserves attention. Not every situation deserves your voice. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful response. Smart people also understand observation. While others are busy talking, they are watching. They watch how people behave. They watch how people react under pressure. They watch who stays loyal. They watch who changes. Because observation reveals truth. Words can lie, but behavior never lies. A person can say anything. They can promise anything. They can pretend anything. But their actions will always reveal who they truly are. And smart people know this. That's why they listen more than they speak. Because when you listen, you learn. When you speak, you only repeat what you already know. Silence gives them information. It gives them clarity. It gives them control. Smart people also understand timing. They don't speak immediately. They don't react emotionally. They pause, they think, they analyze. Because once words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. One sentence can destroy trust. One emotional reaction can damage respect. One careless response can change everything. So they choose their words carefully. They speak when it matters. They speak when it adds value. They speak when it creates impact, not just to fill space. Because they know talking more doesn't make you smarter. Talking wisely does. Another reason smart people stay quiet: they don't need validation. They don't need everyone to agree with them. They don't need everyone to understand them. They don't need to announce their intelligence. Because real intelligence is secure. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need approval. It focuses on growth. It focuses on learning. It focuses on progress. While others are trying to be seen, smart people are trying to improve. While others are trying to impress, smart people are trying to understand. Because they know being underestimated is an advantage. When people underestimate you, they don't see your preparation. They don't see your strategy. They don't see your growth. And that gives you freedom. Freedom to build quietly. Freedom to learn privately. Freedom to improve without pressure. Smart people also understand emotions. They know emotions are temporary. Anger passes, frustration passes, impulse passes, but the consequences of emotional reactions can last forever. That's why they don't react immediately. They don't let emotions control their words. They let logic guide their response. Because silence gives emotions time to settle. It creates space between feeling and action. And in that space, intelligence takes control. Smart people also understand something else. Most people don't actually listen. They wait for their turn to speak. They wait to interrupt. They wait to correct. They wait to respond, not to understand. So smart people don't waste words on people who aren't listening. They save their voice for people who value it, because their words have weight, and weight should not be wasted. They also understand the power of mystery. When you talk too much, people know everything about you. Your plans, your weaknesses, your fears, your intentions. But when you stay quiet, people can't predict you. They can't control you. They can't limit you. Silence creates unpredictability, and unpredictability creates strength. Smart people don't reveal everything. They move in silence. They grow in silence. They build in silence. And then, their results make the noise, because results speak louder than words ever can. Anyone can talk. Anyone can promise. Anyone can pretend. But not everyone can produce results. And smart people focus on results, not recognition. They understand that talking creates comfort, but silence creates progress. Talking feels productive, but often it's just an illusion. Real progress happens in quiet moments, late nights, focused hours, distraction-free thinking, private improvement. While the world is distracted, smart people are sharpening themselves. They are learning, they are thinking, they are preparing, because they know the loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. Confidence is quiet, insecurity is loud. Confidence doesn't need to prove anything. Insecurity tries to prove everything. Smart people also understand something painful. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Not everyone deserves access to your vision, because some people doubt you. Some people discourage you. Some people limit you. And if you share your vision with the wrong people, they can weaken your belief. That's why smart people protect their thoughts. They protect their focus. They protect their energy. They share selectively. They speak intentionally. They trust carefully because their future depends on it. They also understand that silence builds discipline. When you resist the urge to react, you build control. When you resist the urge to argue, you build strength. When you resist the urge to explain yourself to everyone, you build confidence because you stop seeking approval. You stop seeking validation. You stop seeking permission. You start trusting yourself. And that changes everything. Silence also creates presence. When a quiet person speaks, people listen because it's rare, because it's intentional, because it matters and their words carry weight. Their voice carries authority. Not because they speak often, but because they speak with purpose. And purpose creates impact. Smart people understand this deeply. They don't speak to impress. They speak to express truth. They speak to create clarity. They speak to create change. And when they have nothing valuable to say, they choose silence because silence is not empty. It is full of awareness, full of observation, full of intelligence. Silence is not weakness, it is control. Control over emotion, control over reactions, control over energy, control over self. And in a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the smartest people are mastering when not to speak. They are mastering patience. They are mastering focus. They are mastering themselves because they understand something most people never learn. Your power is not in how much you say. Your power is in how much you understand. Your power is in how well you observe. Your power is in how wisely you act. And sometimes, the smartest thing you can say is nothing at all. There is another reason smart people stay quiet. They understand that most conversations are not about truth. They are about ego. People don't argue to discover truth. They argue to defend identity. They argue to feel right. They argue to feel superior. They argue to protect their self-image. And smart people recognize this immediately. They realize that no amount of logic can change someone who is emotionally committed to their belief. So instead of wasting energy trying to win arguments, they choose to win in life. They focus on building. They focus on improving. They focus on moving forward because they know winning arguments doesn't improve your future. Winning discipline does. Winning consistency does. Winning self-control does. Smart people also understand something most people learn too late. They understood that clarity requires quiet, because when the world becomes quiet, the mind becomes loud. And when the mind becomes loud, intelligence grows. Smart people also understand independence. When you rely less on external validation, you become stronger internally. You stop needing approval. You stop needing recognition. You stop needing reassurance. You begin trusting yourself. And self-trust is power. Because once you trust yourself, you stop doubting every decision. You stop hesitating. You stop waiting. You act with confidence. And confidence built in silence is the strongest kind. Because it is real, not performed, not announced, not displayed, just lived. There is also a hidden advantage to silence. It reveals other people. They show you who they truly are. And that information is valuable because understanding people is power. It helps you choose wisely. It helps you trust wisely, or it helps you move wisely. Smart people collect information before making decisions. Silence helps them do that. They listen, they observe, they analyze, and then they act precisely, not emotionally, not impulsively, but intelligently. Smart people also understand long-term thinking. They don't need immediate recognition. They don't need immediate validation. They don't need immediate results. They think in years and not days. They think in decades, not moments.